Research Presentation and Governance. I am Raul. I will be acting as your student chair for today's session. Before we start the program, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land on which we are meeting at the moment. We pay respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I also would like to acknowledge our academic chair, David Price. David Price, say hi. And also, I would like to acknowledge one of our lecturers in Asia Pacific College of Business and Law, Rajiv. And also our dear technical assistant, Vicky Nat, who will be acting as our timer as well. She's very strict, I tell you that. So for today's session, we have 5 presenters. 4 will be doing full presentations, while we have 1 to do speed presentation. Now for each full presenter, you have 15 minutes to present your research, and after which we have 5 minutes of question and answer. So that would take us like around 20 minutes for each full presentation. While for the for the speed presenter, 5 minutes to present, and then maybe 2 minutes Q&A. If in the event that we have ample time at the end of this session, because we have 120 minutes, let's say we have 15 or 20 minutes, I would probably ask all presenters to come in front, and then we can do a dialogue or more Q&A, which I think is the main objective of this research presentation, to have more dialogue, more question and answer, and to criticize, okay, our research. So now, to start the program, our first presenter is from the Asia Pacific College of Business and Law, doing a full presentation. Her research is entitled Safeguarding and Protecting Intangible Cultural Heritage in Indonesia. Friends and colleagues, please welcome Dina Widyaputri Karidimedjo.
Good afternoon, my dear colleagues. Thank you for coming. My name is Dina Karidimedjo. I'm a Ph.D. candidate at the Law School, School of Law, with the Principal Supervisor, Professor David Price here. So I would like to deliver my Ph.D. research titled Safeguarding and Protecting Intangible Cultural Heritage in Indonesia. First of all, I would like to show you Indonesia archipelago on the world map. So, known as the 5th world's largest archipelago, it consists more than 13,000 islands, 5 million square kilometers land and sea along the equator between Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean. So it's a quite large country. In terms of ethnic groups, Indonesia consists of more than 1,300 ethnic groups and more than 600 local languages, and also diverse cultural heritage. So this is, you can see the map, different ethnic groups and cultural identities in Indonesia. So my research analyzes aspects of safeguarding and protecting intangible cultural heritage, or ICH, in the context of Indonesia. First, from the cultural preservation perspective, and also intellectual property or IP law perspectives. It focuses on Indonesia's efforts in forms of legislation and government policies, and also initiatives concerning this issue. It encompasses Indonesia's activity and materials, first to relating to the interpretation and enforcement of the legislation, and secondly, the interaction and harmonization by Indonesia with the international treaties under the UNESCO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, or WIPO, and the last one with the World Trade Organization, or WTO. Because the 3 international organizations is closely related to the ICH and also intellectual property. Okay, so my research is basically a normative legal research, because the objects of the research is legal principles and norms in forms of legislation. So it uses the combination of doctrinal, non-doctrinal approaches and also socio-legal approach on the influence of the politics, economy, culture towards the law and vice versa. And the research uses 5 questions to lead and to reach the objectives of the research. First question is whether the motivation for safeguarding and protecting ICH has been primarily internal, derived from Indonesian national interest, or remain primarily external. So it is found that in the 3 foundations here, I found the impetus of protecting and safeguarding ICH in Indonesia. First, from the state ideology of Pancasila, means 5 basic principles, yeah, and the constitution, and the last one is the national motto of Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or unity in diversity. The second question is whether the legal frameworks and initiatives for safeguarding and protecting ICH is sufficient and parallel with the international treaties. So in this research, I categorize the legal frameworks and initiatives into 2 categories. First, intellectual IP specific, intellectual property specific, and the other one is non-intellectual property specific. So IP specific, for example, in the copyright, patents, trademark, geographical indication, and designs law, this is for the positive protection, because we have provisions in the legislation and also sanction there. And the second one is communal intellectual property database. This is like a defensive protection. So we can refuse the application or registration of patent, for example, through these databases. Yeah. Because it's not new, it's not something novel. So we can use this communal IP database to refuse this patent application. So the second one is the non-IP specific. It's more culture safeguarding attempts, yeah. So we can see from the inscription to the UNESCO list, ICH list, a national ICH inventory, and also we have, Indonesia have a culture advancement law 2017. So the third question is whether the international trade and development of technology affect the efforts for safeguarding and protecting ICH. I take 3 case studies here, Indonesian batik and gamelan karawitan, because of the cultural identity of Indonesia. It's a very popular one. And also Indonesian batik and gayo coffee and luwak coffee as a trade commodity. It's also leading trade commodity of Indonesia. So from here, we can see that intellectual property law covers the protection of Indonesian batik, gamelan karawitan, and also for coffees, we have a trademark and geographical indications law. But it's not enough. It's not something specific protecting and safeguarding the intangible cultural heritage, which is I analyze and examine in my research. And also there are challenges met by batik, gamelan, and coffees here. The first one is the development of technology and also the international trade activities. So for example, we have here this is the authentic one, and this is the textile actually
having batik-like motif. So you can see the difference. Actually, this one just one side for the textile,
Yeah.
and this is for the authentic one, handmade. Similar.
And then for the for gamelan karawitan, we have also the challenge of digital technology. Some people will think that the digital technology of gamelan is a music art. It's an instrument. Yeah, it's a concert of musical instruments. Yeah, you can see this is many people get together to to play the music, to play the karawitan art. And then now we have this. What you see? People not using the acoustic instrument, but using laptops. Yeah.
So some people will think this is a threat for the safeguarding and protecting ICH, but some people, think positively. Oh, it's okay. It's to just to disseminate gamelan art to the young generation. It's easy to follow, yeah, and see from my phone, my smartphone. I can get the application. Yeah, and we can play. And we can play. So it's very easy now.
So that's the challenge for gamelan. The challenge for luwak coffee and gayo coffee, because it's very famous on the reputation of the name of the Gayo region in Aceh, and also luwak coffee. Luwak coffee is sifat cat coffee from the poop of the sorry for that from the poop of the sifat coffee. Yeah, that's amazing. The taste is amazing. Yeah, so it was protected by the one regime called geographical indications. So here, for Gayo coffee, yeah, for luwak coffee we don't have any protection yet. So for Kopi Arabica Gayo or Gayo Arabica coffee, this is like a sign or indication, indicate that the coffee is originally, or the source of the coffee is originally come from Gayo region. Yeah. So only farmers and producers there can use the name Gayo. So something like that, the geographical indication. And the next one is example of Yogyakarta special region to answer the question whether regional government and local communities safeguard and protects intangible cultural heritage in Indonesia. So this is just one example of the initiative performed by the regional government. So the regional government of Yogyakarta own the trademark, and the regional government invite and let the people to use who wants to use the trademark of Jogja mark 100% Jogja and Jogja tradition, because Jogja is the name of Yogyakarta special province, that's the name. Through trademark licensing, it's free. It's free because it's owned by the Yogyakarta special region. And the last question will be, where is the Indonesia's attempt for safeguarding and protecting ICH heading? So I analyzed three main documents here. First is the draft of Traditional Knowledge and Traditional Culture Expression Bill, and then Government Regulation on Traditional Culture Expression Draft, and the National Intellectual Property Strategy Draft. So, in conclusion, although Indonesia has ratified international treaties and has passed legislation on the related issue, both in intellectual property law and also in intangible cultural heritage, but the current phase of the safeguarding and protecting ICH in Indonesia is not yet adequate. This due to negative government politics and people's inadequate awareness of the value of the safeguarding and protecting ICH, as well as limited legal infrastructure, lead to an unsuccessful implementation of the law on the issue. So for recommendation, Indonesia needs to improve the understanding for all stakeholders on the issue and to enact a specific law on ICH with a more comprehensive approach. So thank you for listening.
Let's have some souvenirs from Indonesia, just please take one.
Thank you very much, Dina, for that wonderful presentation. Again, how about the big round of applause for Dina? The floor is now open for Q&A. If you guys have any questions or concern, or not even a question, just a comment. Yes?
Dina, did you find that for those three products, three cultural products, that the push to actually get a copyright came from underneath, from the farmers, from underneath the producers, or did it come from government? Where did it come from first?
Okay. The initiative usually come from the government, but actually because the copyright is an automatic one, so we don't need a registration for having to have or to obtain a copyright. So it's like automatically, when we finish our creation, when we finish our work, so it's automatically protected by copyright. We just need to sometimes to let the public knows that this is my work, this is my my creation. That's all. And usually the author or the creator, they will have like a documentation to prove that he or she is the author or the creator. But yeah, you're right, the initiative usually comes from the government. But now we're trying to educate public as well, that they can also safeguard and protect their IP. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Craig.
Any other questions? More questions?
I was just wondering, how did you narrow all of the cultural heritage in Indonesia down to 3 specific items?
That's actually the definition of intangible cultural heritage. It's in the UNESCO Convention for the protection of intangible cultural heritage in Article 2, which is very broad. It covers oral tradition, expressions, and also objects, artifacts, knowledge, traditional knowledge, rituals, events, and also craftsmanship. So I just take batik, gamelan, and a coffee, because this batik and gamelan is a very popular and also need the safeguarding and also the protection. And for coffee, for Gayo and Luwak coffee is the popular, and also it now made the threat for example, like a counterfeit luwak coffee, yeah, and also it can attack the reputation, good reputation of the coffee and also the producers in Indonesia, something like that. Yeah.
We have one question for Becky.
Thank you. Great presentation. Just want to know, with those 3 items, I know there's been counterfeit as you've documented. Is there any move on behalf of the Indonesian government to try and sort of go after or like take punitive action against
For luwak coffee?
for luwak coffee especially?
For luwak coffee, no.
No.
Even in Indonesia, we don't have a protection for luwak coffee yet. There is no protection, either in IP law, either in other source of law. There is no protection at all. But for gayo coffee, now we have a geographical indication, as I explained before,
Yeah.
in national, and also we have a protection in EU.
So do you go after
Yeah,
those?
go
that-
after, yeah. So government actually did a lot, but it's not enough. Yeah, did a lot, but it's not enough.
Okay, very good. Again, how about a big round of applause? Dina. Our next presenter is from